Some of them was a bit nervous, I think. Some of them thought, well, it shook a lot, because they were taking out the bolts that morning.
I was just down by Pier 10, sitting on the crane, and then there was like a gun being fired several times overhead, like a crack, 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 crack. I seen the engineer falling down right in front of me, actually, right in front of the crane, and one of the guys fell to the left and another guy to the right of me. You never forget that day, actually.
It was an absolute terrible time, when you start looking back and seeing 35 men losing their lives. There's 35 families, sons, daughters, wives, partners. When you look at that and see the devastating effect that's had on friends, it's just horrific. A lot of good friends were killed. A lot of families were devastated.
It doesn't just affect that generation of the victim's family. It actually has flow-on effects, to the generations thereafter. I know I certainly feel affected by the incident, knowing what I've missed out on with my Nundle, what we could have had.
After the collapse, it's when the building workers and trade unions sort of campaigned for safety on building sites right throughout the country, and safety committees were formed on building sites, crane certification, health and safety training. That all came in during those years following the collapse.
When these sort of things affect you, and you have a real personal tragedy happen, and you can be in a position where you can help it, that others aren't going to go through that's great. And we all wanted to make sure that we could have something and do something to contribute to workplace safety and workplace workers' rights.
Today is a timely reminder that we can never take workplace safety for granted, and that we must remain vigilant to make sure that every worker has the right to come home safe.
"50 years on, the Westgate Bridge collapse remains one of Australia's worst industrial incidents. And while we've come a long way in improving workplace health and safety and the supports we can provide for injured workers and their families, nothing can truly replace the loss of a loved one who went to work one day and didn't come home."
Every time I drive over it or drive under it, I think, this is something that Melbourne can be proud of. But I always look at it as a monument to those men who lost their lives.